Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and guidance of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our humble obeisance to Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing this wonderful commentary and translation of Bhagavatam. Also, following the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we are praying to Srimati Radharani. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta told us that unless we can discover Srimati Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam, then our study has been for waste if we have not done that. So in this way, we're praying to Srimati Radharani. Yadi seva vanchitasya ma yasya kripaya vayam labema sarvam prapnuma prayojanam damni Shri Bhagavat pade Krishna sambandhi sarvam cha Yadi na jani mahe tutam ashtadashasu sahasreshu shlokanam bhagavat oktishu radharanim na vindam hatada nishphalam bhagavat adhyayanam radhikaya kripam vina vyartasyat sarva parishrama. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham, and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Srimati Radharani, all our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing from Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 29, Talks between Nārada and King Prācīnabarhi. Text 33. Jatahi purusho bharam sirasa gurum udvahan tam skandhena saadhate tata sarva pratikriya. A man may carry a burden on his head, and when he feels it is to be too heavy, he sometimes gives relief to his head by putting the burden on his shoulder. In this way, he tries to relieve himself of the burden. However, whatever process he devises to counteract the burden does nothing more than put the same burden from one place to another. Purport. This is a good description of an attempt to transfer a burden from one place to another. When one gets tired of keeping a burden on his head, he will place it on his shoulder. This does not mean that he has become freed from the strains of carrying the burden. Similarly, human society, in the name of civilization, is creating one kind of trouble to avoid another kind of trouble. In contemporary civilization, we see that there are so many automobiles manufactured to carry us swiftly from one place to another, but at the same time, we have created other problems. We have to construct so many roads, and yet these roads are insufficient to cope with automobile congestion and traffic jams. There are also the problems of air pollution and fuel shortage. The conclusion is that the processes we manufacture to counteract or minimize our distresses do not actually put an end to our pains. It is all simply illusion. We simply place the burden from our head to our shoulder. The only real way we can minimize our problems is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give ourselves up to His protection. The Lord, being all-powerful, can make arrangements to mitigate our painful life in material existence. Text 34. Naikantata pratikara karmanam karma kevalam dvayam hyavidyopastritam svapne svapna ivanaga. Nārada continued, O you who are free from all sinful activity, no one can counteract the effects of fruitive activity simply by manufacturing a different activity devoid of Krishna consciousness. All such activity is due to our ignorance. When we have a troublesome dream, we cannot relieve it with a troublesome hallucination. One can counteract a dream only by awaking. Similarly, our material existence is due to our ignorance and illusion. Unless we awaken to Krishna consciousness, we cannot be relieved of such dreams. For the ultimate solution to all problems, we must awaken to Krishna consciousness. Purport. There are two kinds of fruitive activity. We can place the burden on the head or we can place it on the shoulder. Actually, keeping the burden in either place is the same. The transferal, however, is taking place under the name of counteraction. In this connection, Prahlad Maharaj said that fools and rascals in the material world plan so gorgeously for bodily comfort without knowing that such arrangements, even if successful, are only Maya. People are working hard day and night for the illusory happiness of the body. It is not a way to achieve happiness. One has to get out of this material entanglement and return home back to Godhead. That is real happiness. The Vedas therefore enjoin, don't remain in the darkness of this material world. Go to the light of the spiritual world. To counteract the distress of this material body, one has to take on another distressed condition. Both situations are only illusion. There is no gain in taking on one trouble to counteract another trouble. The conclusion is that one cannot be perpetually happy as long as one exists in this material world. The only remedy is to get out of this material world altogether and return home back to Godhead. Text 35. Artehya vidyamanepi samshritirna nivartate manasa linga rupena svapne vicharato yata. Sometimes we suffer because we see a tiger in a dream or a snake in a vision, but actually there is neither a tiger nor a snake. Thus we create some situation in a subtle form and suffer the consequences. These sufferings cannot be mitigated unless we are awakened from our dream. Purport. As stated in the Vedas, the living entity is always separate from two kinds of material bodies, the subtle and the gross. All our sufferings are due to these material bodies. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 2.14. Matras parshas tukantehas hitoshna shukha dukkha agamo paino nityas tamustatiksha bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O Sayana Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Lord Krishna thus informed Arjuna that all the distresses brought about by the body come and go. One has to learn how to tolerate them. Material existence is the cause of all sufferings, for we do not suffer once we are out of the material condition. The Vedas therefore enjoin that one should factually understand that he is not material but is actually Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. This understanding cannot be fully realized unless one is engaged in Brahman activities, namely devotional service. To get free from the material conditions, one has to take to Krishna consciousness. That is the only remedy. Texts 36 through 37. Atatmano rata bhutasya yato narta parampara samshritistad vyavachedo bhaktya paramaya guru vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yoga samahita sadhrichinena vairagyam jnanam cha janayisyati. The real interest of the living entity is to get out of the nescience that causes him to endure repeated birth and death. The only remedy is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his representative. Unless one renders devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, one cannot possibly become completely detached from this material world, nor can he possibly manifest real knowledge. Purport. This is the way to become detached from the artificial material condition. The only remedy is to take to Krishna consciousness and constantly engage in the devotional service of Lord Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is trying to be happy, and the process adopted to achieve that happiness is called self-interest. Unfortunately, the conditioned soul hovering within this material world does not know that his ultimate goal of self-interest is Vasudeva. Samshriti, or material existence, begins with the illusioned bodily conception of life, and on the basis of this conception there ensues a series of unwanted things, or anarthas. These unwanted things are actually mental desires for various types of sense gratification. In this way, one accepts different types of bodies within this material world. One first has to control the mind so that the desires of the mind can be purified. This process is described in the Nārada Pancharatra as Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam. Unless one purifies his mind, there is no question of getting free from the material condition. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.6, Anarthopasamam Sakshad Bhakti Yogam Madhoksaje Lokasya Janato Vidvams Chakre Satvata Samhitam. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth. Anarthas, unwanted things, come down from one bodily life to another. To get out of this entanglement, one has to take to devotional service of Lord Vasudeva Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Guru is significant in this connection. The word Guru may be translated as heavy or the Supreme. In other words, the Guru is the spiritual master. Srila Rishabdadev advised his sons, Gurur Nasasyat, Namochayedya Samutpeta Mrityam. One should not take up the post of spiritual master unless he is able to lead his disciples from the cycle of birth and death. Material existence is actually a chain of action and reaction brought about by different types of fruitive activities. This is the cause of birth and death. One can stop this process only by engaging oneself in the service of Vasudeva. Bhakti refers to those activities performed in the service of Lord Vasudeva. Because Lord Vasudeva is the supreme, one should engage oneself in his service, not in the service of the demigods. Devotional service begins from the neophyte stage, the stage of observing the rules and regulations, and extends to the point of spontaneous loving service to the Lord. The purpose of all stages is to satisfy Lord Vasudeva. When one is perfectly advanced in the devotional service of Vasudeva, one becomes completely detached from the service of the body. That is his designated position in the material existence. After becoming so detached, one becomes actually perfect in knowledge, and engages perfectly in the service of Lord Vasudeva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivaras Varupoi Krishnara Nityadas. Every living entity is by constitutional position an eternal servant of Krishna. As soon as one engages in the service of Lord Vasudeva, he attains his normal constitutional position. This position is called the liberated stage. Muktir hitvan yata rupam swarupena vyavastiti. In the liberated stage, one is situated in his original Krishna conscious position. He gives up all engagements in the service of the matter. In the service of matter, engagements concocted under the names of social service, national service, community service, dog service, automobile service, and so many other services conducted under the illusion of I and mine. As explained in the second chapter of the first canto, Vasudevhe Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janat Yatyasu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayada Hoitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Bhagavatam 1.2.7. Thus one must engage in the service of Vasudeva without material desire, mental speculation, or fruitive activity. Hare Krishna. Text 38. Sochirad eva rajarshe syadachuta katashraya shrinvata shrad hadhanasya nityadasya radhiyata. O best of the kings, O best of kings, one who is faithful, one who is always hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always engaged in the culture of Krishna consciousness and in hearing the Lord's activities, very soon becomes eligible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Purport. Constant engagement in transcendental loving service of Vasudeva means constantly hearing the glories of the Lord. The principles of Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasam, Sakyamatma, Navedanam, are the only means by which perfection can be attained. Simply by hearing of the glories of the Lord, one is elevated to the transcendental position. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 39 on Friday. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhara Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees. Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navrut Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sham Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Nitaya Gora Premanandi Hari 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 Bol. Dhanavad Pranam.